This is your tech news briefing for Monday, November 28th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Ben McKenzie is an actor best known for his roles in the TV shows The OC and Gotham. But lately he's added another title to his resume: outspoken crypto skeptic. At the Wall Street Journal's Tech Live event last month, McKenzie, who has a degree in economics, discussed his feelings about digital currencies and the book he's writing about it with WSJ reporter Erich Schwartzel. When they spoke, the crypto exchange FTX hadn't yet been hit by its liquidity crisis or filed for bankruptcy. But other crypto firms had collapsed, and many digital currencies' values had fallen significantly from their highs. Here are highlights from their conversation.
Ben McKenzie, thanks for joining us at Tech Live.
My pleasure.
You're here today to talk about cryptocurrency. How did that happen?
I just became fascinated by sort of, money, we made it up. It doesn't exist, right? It's a social construct, just like government, religion. It relies on a critical mass for it to have value. And so all these people were ascribing value to this thing, which to me I was deeply suspicious of. And it's led me down an investigative rabbit hole.
But there's a difference between being suspicious of crypto and speaking out and leveraging celebrity to raise awareness. Why did you decide to make that leap? I mean, I think it probably would start in the fall of 2021 when you published a piece in Slate. Right. You didn't really hold back. You called it
No.
Celebrity Crypto Shilling is a Moral Disaster. And it was inspired by a number of other celebrities who were taking the opposite approach and signing endorsement deals to promote cryptocurrencies. Why decide to not just sort of tell your friend that he was an idiot for investing in Bitcoin, but instead become, the TV star who's speaking out against crypto?
Well, Robert Shiller, the Nobel Prize-winning economist, has talked about how economic narratives spread. They spread, first of all, their reaction to real things. So in the case of cryptocurrency, I would say the genesis is the subprime crisis. This peer-to-peer currency that would avoid all intermediaries and would democratize, decentralize the financial structure, which had so failed so many Americans. So it seemed to come from real need, and I was fascinated by that. At the same time, the more I studied it, the more I actually looked at the bones of it, it wasn't doing the things that it said it was doing. It was highly centralized. Crypto had basically, seemingly to me anyway, created an entire parallel financial structure parallel to the regulated one that was completely unregulated or more or less unregulated. So the propensity for fraud was enormous. Mm-hmm. And I worried that this economic narrative would spread as it already had done, like wildfire. I felt like things were going to go poorly. And I felt like a lot of people are going to lose their money.
And the book you're working on now is called Easy Money.
Right.
Why easy? Define easy in that context for me.
So it has multiple meanings. It's about the creation of this money that isn't money. Mm-hmm. It's also about how all of this started, which I would say is the subprime crisis and our failure to address, sort of deeper systemic issues with our deeply flawed financial system, which has created massive levels of mistrust. Deservedly so, perhaps. And so people they're investing in crypto for all sorts of reasons. If you look at the polling, they're investing in it because it's a new way of investing and it's easy. Those are the first two answers. It's not because they understand blockchain technology or believe in it or even use it as a currency, because of course most people, almost no one uses it.
There's not like a philosophical underpinning driving most of these decisions, you'd say.
For the majority,
yeah.
Right?
Well, let me ask you something. So if you were building a character based on what you're seeing is driving a lot of these folks into crypto, what would that character's motivations be? What do you think? It sounds like you're describing almost like a need being fulfilled.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I'm trying to get at maybe what you would see as the psychological or even sociological reasons for that.
Well, they vary widely. Incredibly widely. So it's difficult, and I don't want to stereotype. But if you look at the polling, 42% of men 18 to 29 have purchased, bought cryptocurrency at some point in their lives. That's a large number. Mm-hmm. That's almost half. That's a big number. So it is younger, it is male. But you have people of all walks of life, and it is interesting. I mean, it's not particularly, there are not a lot of distinctions between socioeconomic classes in terms of participation. Mm-hmm. People with a lot of money, people with middle money, people with not a lot of money have all used it. There are differences in gender. It's about 2.5 to 1, male to female. And there are differences in race. Minority groups are more likely to invest in cryptocurrency.
So how old were you when the OC premiered?
23.
23.
24,
so you were once a young guy.
I was
coming into money pretty quickly.
Yes.
Looking at a future with potential earnings, that you had not imagined before. Do you think back on that time? Do you see commonalities when you're talking to folks who you're describing as sort of pursuing this easy money?
Yeah, that's a great question. Young men, sociologically, they are very risk on. They make a lot of decisions that perhaps they shouldn't. And on the flip side, they also take risks that sometimes pay off wildly. I'm just skeptical as I look at as I get into the weeds, as I get into the gears, so to speak, that they're really improving things. What I see is that most people lose money, and for very obvious reasons. The technology doesn't work particularly well. The markets are more or less unregulated. There's massive information asymmetries. You're effectively sitting down at a poker table across from, sorry, maybe this dates me, but across from Phil Hellmuth, one of the greatest poker players ever lived, and you're not even aware of it. And this guy is, he's running you ragged. Could you win a hand? Sure, you could win a hand. But over the long run, you sit there long enough, you're going to lose.
Do you think that the crypto winter, whatever you want to call it, the volatility we're in right now, do you see this as confirming what you had identified as issues with the system, or do you think this is just volatility that's representative of the currency? Like, what do you think is...
You mean the fact that $2 trillion more or less disappeared overnight? Do I feel like that's a validation of the fact that I thought it was a massive scam? Yes, I do think that it's a validation of I mean, maybe that's self-serving, but
good timing for your book.
Yeah, good timing.
Yeah. I think,
so could crypto come back, I guess, is somewhat you're right. Sure. I mean, anything could happen, right? It could start snowing tomorrow in Laguna. The thesis of the book, or one of the primary theses of the book, is that the easy money that we have injected into the system has created all sorts of, it's a massive speculative bubble, right? And the things that pop the first are the things that are the most speculative. Of course it is. What else is it? What does it do, right? I went to the only country in the world that's trying to use it as currency, El Salvador. Mm-hmm. No one's using it because it doesn't work, because it's not a currency. I don't think it's coming back anytime soon unless it provides some sort of use case, unless we have something that it does better than other things that also have flaws. What has it improved? I don't see it happening in the near term. Could blockchain have uses in other? Sure. I don't know. I don't have anything against blockchain. It's a distributed ledger. I'm not mad at a distributed ledger. I'm mad at a massive amount of what I think is, a massive speculative bubble and what I think is fraud, most likely, underneath it. So could blockchain, public key encryption, this kind of stuff have value in the future monetarily? Sure. Yeah, of course. I have no problem with that. But when, how? I don't think that's anytime soon.
Well, Ben, we will look forward to the book. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. If you want more tech stories, check out our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.